on. That should have. Bam! Data. This is a lot of data. Hello and welcome to today's disaster recovery. Disaster recovery is what we'll be covering today from a knowledge graph perspective. Now, you might be wondering, where does all the data come from that we have in our knowledge graphs? This knowledge graph about disaster recovery has 3,650, close to 3,700 unique critical capabilities in them. So all these orange type of dots that tell you what to do and how urgent it is and how to do it actually to get disaster recovery in place for an organization, how prioritized it is as well. These critical criteria, they are used in the Kanban, so you see those every day coming by. We send out a daily email about the daily Kanban and the topic, and all those criteria are in there. They're on our website. You can scroll through all of them. They're free to look at. If you want to reuse it commercially, obviously there's a license fee attached to it, but that's basically it. Everything's free to look at. That's where the criteria come from the Kanban database. The criteria, each and every criterion, open one up, have questions attached to them. And here we see one of those questions, or already that's a slight purple one. Here, you have a questions attached to it that you can ask your team, or you can ask your leadership. Is executive leadership and our management involved in risk management and mitigation decisions? And that's a question related to: be confident that your workforce is involved in access management, policy and standards, audits and assessments, risk mitigation and management, business continuity, disaster recovery oversight, and security education programs. Mouthful, but basically that's what it is. Now, this is a lot. So that the knowledge graph is there to hand over knowledge. That's what it's there for. Its idea is, what knowledge can I get from combining all this data in data points and connecting them and their relationships. And I thought, let's do something today that'll clarify that. Clarification for that is, if you go, what we do daily is we send out the daily Kanban, and with the daily Kanban comes a list of the 48 most relevant criteria, most relevant questions to ask in your organization around disaster recovery today. So I've taken a couple of those, and we're going to have a look at what our knowledge graph can do to help us with that. So let's have a look. Simple, basic first one. Copy paste. Does your organization have a plan or framework for a business continuity management or disaster recovery management? Basic, simple. What I want to find out is, in my database of close to 4,000 critical criteria, which ones are most important and related to me being able to answer that question. So I'm looking for use cases where the use case contains, let's say, plan, and I can add others, obviously. Let's say framework, contain a plan or a framework. If it contains a plan or a framework, I want to see all of them, and I want the highest Moscow scores. I explained that to you yesterday. Moscow score is basically based on the proximity and density of the keywords, natural language processing data prioritization. That's basically what it is. And the Moscow score could either be a must-have, should have, ought to have, maybe think about it later. So there's a couple of them. And that's what you see in this prioritization as well. Must-have is one of the Moscow scores. That's the highest score. So everything that has a must-have score, must-haves, they've got the highest score. And that's a real number attached to it. So you see that number here, for instance. Let's see if I can zoom in. It's a bit messy because all the balls are open. If I zoom in, you get to see the number, and the number is, yep, there it is. Yeah, that one. So this is 3695, which is probably the highest of all of them that we have in here. Okay, let's go back to the question. The question is, does your organization have a plan or framework for business continuity management or disaster recovery management? And we were going to see only the use cases, so the orange balls, that have plan or framework in them. And I only want to see the 5 with the highest rating, the 5 with the highest Moscow score. Let's see how quickly it can solve this. Oh, that was fast. There we go. 5 use cases. Ensure your staff advances the creation and maintenance of disaster recovery plans. Assure your design develops and implements a disaster recovery plan. That'd be nice. Invest in the development and implementation of contingency in disaster recovery plans. Confer. Oh, I like confer. We're conferring now. Confer with IT department and other key personnel to determine if changes in hardware or software configurations affect disaster recovery plan outcomes. Smart. And the final one of the 5, work with IT department and other key personnel to determine if changes in hardware or software configurations affect disaster recovery plan outcomes. So if I cover these things, then I'm fairly well on my way to building a decent business continuity management and disaster recovery management plan. What if I click on those? And I'm deliberately spacing them apart because if I click on those, stuff's going to happen. You ready? Stuff's happening. There we are. Click, 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 click. Opening them all up. So what we have here is the extension of each and every one of those 5. And we see here that the blue dots, they actually give you an idea of what else do you need to look for while you're organizing a business continuity management or disaster recovery management plan. Disaster recovery, obviously, network security, backup and recovery. Let's check backup and recovery. Let's click on that one. You see there's a lot of extra popping up that you can look at when you decide to go into diving into building a framework for business continuity management. Take care of all these. Take care of all these. Take care of all these. And obviously, if I double click on those, it opens up and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But it gives you a good idea and insight of you need to look at these things. Make sure you don't miss those. Let's go to question number 2. Question number 2. Does your organization have an established change control process in place to keep the continuity recovery plan current with process, organizational, and technology changes? Well, that's obvious. Let's go for the word change and see what comes up. How's that? See what the knowledge graph tells me when I type in change. And show it to me. There we go. Ensure you have demonstrated involvement in disaster recovery planning, database replication, backup recovery, relational database configuration, database security, access control, use of query tools, database script tools, and change management. Yeah, okay. Build automation around database problems. Yeah. Work with IT department and other key personnel to determine if changes in hardware or software configurations affect. Well, that's a good one. Disaster recovery plan outcomes. Okay. And this is confirmed. Let's go work and expand it. And there we go. And it's definitely should have. A question you can ask is all application software backed up and stored offsite? And obviously, it's very much related to recovery, to be able to do the recovery. So if I click on this, we'll run into major trouble because a lot will open up. But let's do it anyway because, hey, let's live dangerously. There we go. So this way, I can just dive into, okay, I've got this question, do we have a change control process? I've got this question, do we have a change control process? And what I want to know is, what do I need to cover for that? Well, these are all the topics that I need to be aware of and cover. And once the balls have started falling into place, which is they're organizing right now based on their priority, ordered by Moscow Score Final, that's what they're doing now. Then I can just typically go through them and say, oh, that's an interesting one. Let's work on that one. Or let's work on that one. And how is that related to another one? Or I can dive in deeper. This one's about vendor management in this relationship. All right, change control process. Let's go to question number 3. And if you have questions, feel free to send them in, and we'll see what the knowledge graph regarding disaster recovery can tell us. Does the cloud server provider have a disaster recovery plan in place to recover the applications and data that are running in the facility? Okay. Shall I go for cloud? Let's go mean cloud and disaster. How's that? Cloud disaster. Let's see what comes up. Oh, there we go. Yeah, oversee that your company is involved in storage and visualization tools for business continuity. Uh, yeah, work with IT department and other key personnel that there changes to hardware or software configuration affect disaster recovery. Yeah, we did an or here. If we do an and, let's see what happens then. And there we go. Complete disaster recovery planning and documentation for the cloud environment. There we go. Let's open that one. It's a should have. It all has to do with planning. There's a lot of planning involved in here. It comes up in automotive demand chain and supply chain technologies, which is interesting. I reckon that a lot of it's being done by SaaS solutions these days, so that's why it pops up here. I double click on planning. There we go. And I get to see the whole lot of it, which is basically, that's a lot actually. A lot of planning to do for the cloud in relationship to cloud providers and to recover the applications and data that are running. How will move to the cloud impact disaster recovery planning? Well, that's a good question to ask. It's a should have priority, and these are the other ones that are related to it as well that you can dive into and start thinking about how to deal with disaster recovery plans in relationship to your cloud service providers. Pretty deep. Let's pick another one. We've got some time, I believe. Let's have a look at the time, 11 minutes. I don't want to keep you too long. Let's do one more. How's that? Let's do one more. I'm having fun with this. Oh, this is an interesting one. Let's go. What measures does your organization put in place to capture all costs associated with the recovery effort? All right, cost. I'm in. Let's see what the database comes up with. Cost. Run. Hoppa. Support continuous involvement initiatives using scientific statistical methods to track and analyze key recovery metrics focused on time, cost, and quality. Oh, that sounds all right. Let's double click that one. Here we go. That's an ought to have. Probably because it has more to do with research. No, improvement initiatives. Let's go with this one. What does this say? Represent disaster recovery cost requirements in the annual budgeting process. I like that one. Let's go. That's a good one. Hop. Let's make sure that we cover that one. Question to ask: what does the process look like when you have planned or unplanned failover? From a financial perspective. Then engage IT leaders and key decision makers. Let's go. Click. Stay there. In discussions related to availability, agility, business value, cost, security, management, disaster recovery, and the value of services and processes in enterprise environment. How do you balance disaster recovery costs with the value of your workloads and data? That's a decent question. I like that. Oh, we can have a good discussion about that. Then the last one I wanted to click on here, there's 5 because I gave the 5 most important ones. Show me those. Design, implement, and maintain all the aspects of storage, including the various tiers of storage. The low-cost storage, so with Amazon, for instance, you have Glacier with AWS backup. That's the real slow one. Close to tape, but very slow hard drives, basically. So this gives you, from my perspective, a blueprint to start to work from if you want to deep dive into capturing all costs associated with the recovery effort, making sure that you look at it from each and every angle. I could also go a bit deeper if I want to. Let's go wild. Would you say 10? Let's go 10. So it comes up. There we go, 10. I can go deeper and I can explore each and every one of them. Let's see how many there are. I know there's 4,000, close to 4,000 records in there. So let's limit it to what's actually available. Oh, all right. There's 27 that pop up. So there's in total 27 that you can have a look at, to make sure that you have measures in place to capture all costs associated with the recovery effort. I think that's pretty nice. I'm going to click on each and every one of it to leave you with some nice moving balls today and have a look at how it's all connected. And that's that. I was having a good time. I hope you did too. You can get the data. It's in the link down here below on the screen. You can get the data there, play around with it, and do with it what you want yourself. There's 4,000 critical criteria in there with their answers and with their prioritization. Have a look at it. scroll through the Kanban, ask me any question, like, subscribe, the usual, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks for being here. See ya.